On the 21st of August, 2017, a total solar eclipse will diagonally cross the United States. The state of Nebraska is also diagonally crossed by this eclipse, with the event beginning in the northwest and cutting across the state to exit in the southeast. In all, 478 miles are covered by the eclipse in this cross-country trek, the longest path to cross any of the 11 states that the shadow of the moon touches. It seems that nearly everything that occurs anymore is hyped as being the rarest once-in-a-lifetime event, so we might well ask ourselves, how rare, really, are total solar eclipses? Actually, there are at least 2 solar eclipses every year. In fact, it's impossible to have less. As our diagram shows, the path of the sun and the path of the moon across our skies are slightly different. In fact, they are like 2 hula hoops, with one placed inside the other and then slightly twisted apart about 5 degrees. Only where the 2 come into contact with each other can a solar eclipse occur. The points where the 2 paths cross are called the nodes. In an area about 15 to 18 degrees on each side of the node, the 2 paths are close enough together that if the sun and the moon cross in this area, the moon will cover at least part of the sun. This area where the moon could cover the sun is called the ecliptic limits. The sun moves around its path going a little less than 1 degree a day, completing a full circle in 365.25 days. That, of course, is how we figure a year. But the moon, in comparison, races around its path, moving 13 degrees each day, and completes a full circle in only 29.5 days, or the time from new moon to new moon. Because it takes the sun a minimum of 30 days to move through the ecliptic limits, which you recall is between 30 and 36 degrees, and the moon completes a full circling of the sky in 29.5 days, it is impossible for the sun to not be at least partially covered by the moon, causing an eclipse. If the moon catches up with the sun near the beginning or ending of the ecliptic limits, a partial eclipse like the one that occurred on 23 October 2014 will take place. But if the moon catches up with the sun close to the node, then the eclipse is central, as the moon will pass directly across the solar face. When that happens, the event will then be one of the 2 other types of eclipses that can occur, annular or total. What's the difference? An annular eclipse occurs when the moon is most distant from Earth in its elliptical orbit, and that orbit can vary in distance from Earth between 225,000 miles to 252,000 miles. When it is closer to the most distant point, called apogee, it is too small to cover the sun completely and creates a ring of fire in the sky. All partial eclipses and annular eclipses must be observed wearing protective eye gear or employing some safe method of indirect viewing, such as the projection technique. Direct observing of the sun without proper protection will cause serious eye damage. Be sure to use only approved and certified observing equipment. Not safe for viewing are sunglasses, smoked glass, and any other homemade observing device. Certainly by now some of you are asking, if there are 2 eclipses every year, why all the fuss about this one? Although there are 2 eclipses every year, they are frequently of the types we have discussed so far, partial or annular. Total eclipses, such as the one coming up on 21 August 2017, occur on the average only 1 every 18 months, and then usually over vast stretches of ocean, desert, or frozen tundra, seldom over highly populated areas. Additionally, the path of a total solar eclipse is never very wide. The widest possible is 160 miles, and most often, like the coming eclipse, considerably less. At its widest path, the 2017 eclipse will be only 80 miles wide. Because of the narrowness of their paths, solar eclipses occur at any one given place on Earth on an average of once every 375 years. For some locations, the wait has been considerably longer. For our immediate area, the last time a total solar eclipse passed over was the 15th of May in the year 310. Adding to the anticipation of this eclipse is the fact that the continental United States has not been visited by a total solar eclipse since the 26th of February, 1979, an absence of 38 years. Some of you may recall that eclipse when from our region the moon covered 89% of the sun's diameter at maximum eclipse. If we look again at a map of the path of totality across Nebraska, we can begin to get the feel for the communities within its path and those outside its path. But it should be emphasized that only within the blue lines that mark the northern and southern limits of totality can one observe a total solar eclipse. All eclipses, partial, annular, and total, begin the same with the first bite being taken out of the solar face. This event is called first contact. This part of the eclipse and stages of the eclipse until it is total must be observed with proper eye protection. The major events of an eclipse are called contact times. As we have seen, first contact is when the moon touches the sun. Second contact is when the moon completely covers the sun. Third contact is when the moon begins to move off the sun. And fourth contact is when the moon completely moves off the sun. From first to fourth contact takes a little over 2 hours. For the last 17 centuries over our region, the moon has veered too far to the south or north to completely cover the sun. But on 21 August 2017, the path of the moon will move directly across the sun. For over an hour, it will cover more and more and more of the sun, until all of its light, except a few rays shining through craters and valleys on the lunar rim, create what is called the second contact diamond ring, that quite literally weds us to the strange world of darkness at midday. The diamond ring effect lasts only a few seconds. Then we briefly see the red inner atmosphere of the sun, called the chromosphere. But as it is quickly covered up, the outer atmosphere, called the corona, becomes the showpiece of the whole event. Stretching millions of miles out into space, the corona is always changing shape and never quite the same during any eclipse. With long streamers of ghost light stretching in all directions, the corona encircles a black and seemingly dead sun, while all around the black orb red flames rise into its pale light. This is a show that can only be viewed during a total solar eclipse. Totality never lasts long, and on the 21st of August 2017, if one is right on the central line between Tryon and Callaway, totality will be a fleeting 2 minutes and 34 seconds. As one moves off the central line, totality diminishes all the way to 0 seconds at the northern and southern limits. Beyond that, only a partial eclipse is observable. As the eclipse came, so it will depart. The third contact diamond ring re-weds us to the world of reality and the brightness of day, and the moon slides off the sun as gradually as it passed before it. Long before fourth contact, most people have lost interest in the show and are busy visiting about the remarkable event they were fortunate enough to witness. Certainly, some people will argue that just being close to the path of totality has to be almost as good as being there. The argument goes, eating 95% of a steak is 95% as good as eating the whole thing. Or going 95% of the speed limit will get me to my location 95% as quickly as driving the full speed limit. Therefore, seeing 95% of totality will be 95% as good as seeing complete totality. But the analogy is all wrong. Think of it more like this. Going to the rodeo and watching the cowboy ride a timid bull is 95% as exciting as watching him ride an aggressive and fierce bull. Or making 9.5 yards on a 4th and 10 is 95% as good as making a touchdown. Of course they aren't. And likewise, seeing only a deep partial is missing the major impact of a total solar eclipse. Make sure you are within the path of totality and tell everyone else that is where they need to be too. This event gives the people within the path of totality a remarkable opportunity to put their part of the world on international display. People will come from all over the world to see this eclipse. Where they go to see it, in most cases, has not yet been determined. We need to convince them that western Nebraska is the best place to experience not only the eclipse, but also the uniqueness of our region and have a once-in-a-lifetime adventure in the real West. And, needless to say, any region that can draw a large number of people will benefit economically. What draws eclipse chasers to a specific region over another location within an eclipse path? 6 priorities have been identified that are fundamental in helping eclipse chasers select a site. In order to better understand what motivates people to select one location over all others within the path of totality, let's look at them. First for many is security. While degrees of intrepidness vary from individual to individual, most eclipse chasers seek a location that is free from outside dangers either from nature or fellow man. In other words, they want their observing location to be where they observed their most recent solar eclipse, not from where, according to their obituary, they observed their final solar eclipse. Also very important is weather prospects. People do not travel up to halfway around the globe to be clouded out on eclipse day. Good weather prospects are a vital lure to get people to come to a location to observe an eclipse. Since people have come to view totality, it is only natural that they want a location where the eclipse approaches the greatest duration within the entire path, provided good weather prospects and security accompany the site selection. A general rule is that a site should yield 90% of the maximum duration available for any given eclipse. Accessibility, or "can I get there from here?" is a common question asked by eclipse chasers. How difficult and how long is the trip to reach a viewing site that is high in the other priorities? For instance, in 2003, some of the very best viewing locations for duration and good skies were the highlands of Antarctica, but nobody went. Once a site that has good security, good weather prospects, long duration, and easy accessibility is found, one has to secure accommodations or room and board. A good hotel infrastructure is vital for drawing a large number of eclipse enthusiasts, as it is to any large gathering of people, whatever the occasion. And finally, let's consider diversion. While the eclipse is the main attraction, it is well to remember that its duration is only several minutes at most. People have traveled a great distance to see it, but most are also interested in the local culture and history. Upon which of these priorities should we in central Nebraska focus our attention? Because we are a nation of rule of law, security is the one area that should be uniform across the entire eclipse path. Therefore, let's eliminate it from our immediate concerns. After security, the most immediate concern for people selecting an observing site is weather conditions. A private investigation of weather conditions to determine the suitability for observing a total solar eclipse from west central Nebraska was made between 1995 and 2014 and will be continued in both 2015 and 16. However, enough data is available to make some useful observations. The observer's original intent was to observe the weather on the pre-anniversary date of 21 August at time of the beginning of the eclipse, 12:55 Central Daylight Time, and record the percent of clear skies and thus the probability of observing the eclipse. This strategy was later expanded to include the day before and day after the eclipse, and eventually to include a 7-day period centered on the eclipse date. While it proved impossible to observe on all the desired dates, 99 days out of 140 possible dates were observed. This table indicates the percent of clear sky for the 18th through the 24th of August from 1995 through 2014. To correct for any unintentional prejudice in the determination of percent of clear skies to cloudy skies, records were also kept of absolute days, that is, days in which the sky was either 100% clear or 100% clouded over. Those values are expressed in the table on the screen. It is interesting to note that of the 99 days when observations were made, a very high 48% of those days experienced absolutely clear skies, while only 19% were completely clouded out. For the 21st of August, Eclipse Day, 12 days out of 20, or 60%, were completely clear, while only 3, or 15%, were clouded over. If we look again at the clear sky percentage table, we can see that for the whole observation window, a 68% clear sky value was obtained, with an even better 74% clear sky value for eclipse day. This is the kind of weather prospects that bring people to a specific location. Comparison to other weather data confirms the good prospects of the region. The average August cloud amount percent along the centerline total solar eclipse 21 August 2017 that the meteorologist J. Anderson used at the International Eclipse Conference in 2007 and has appeared since in several books on solar eclipses lists the cloud cover average for locations across the U.S. Note that the 33% listing for North Platte is one of the lowest for the entire path. 33% cloud obviously translates into 67% clear skies, a value that is very close to the 68% clear skies that was arrived at by private investigation. If weather prospects for our region are promising, what about duration? How long does the eclipse last in our area? The eclipse for 21 August 2017 is in the low average range for duration, with maximum coming in southern Illinois and eastern Kentucky with a total of 2 minutes and 41 seconds. Since the eclipse in western Nebraska is a little before solar noon, our time is slightly less, in the range of 2 minutes 30 seconds to 2 minutes 35 seconds on the central line. A closer look at our map shows the areas and towns with greatest duration of totality. Along the central line, totality runs right around 2 minutes 34 seconds, well within the 90% of maximum duration, that is 2 minutes 24 seconds. If we have good sky prospects and suitable duration, can we get people here? Are we accessible? For travelers coming from far away, we have an international airport within 4 to 5 hours driving distance, with the North Platte Regional Airport connecting to it with flights twice daily. Besides, we have an excellent highway system centered around Interstate 80 that easily moves traffic east and west. People can easily get here, but there is one additional benefit once they are here: mobility. Even the best weather prospects do not assure clear skies at the critical moment of totality. Therefore, it is important to be mobile. If I am in cloud as the eclipse approaches but can see clear skies to the east, I'm heading east. For that, the roads in our region are well suited. 83 and 97 provide easy north-south passage, while I-80, 30, 92, and 2 provide quick movement east to west. In fact, Nebraska Highway 2 seems to have been laid out with the eclipse in mind. Well over 450 miles of the eclipse's path through Nebraska is shared with Highway 2. While excellent paved roads allow easy east-west and north-south movement, eclipse travelers should be advised that unpaved roads can frequently deteriorate into little more than cow paths where cattle on the road can greatly impede travel. But while some routes might slow travelers down, mobility in general greatly increases clear sky percentages. During the clear sky observations made between 1995 and 2014, on 14 occasions when negative sky quality days prevailed, clear sky conditions were observable to the west, north, or east in the eclipse path that were all within easy driving distance. If an observer is mobile, the chances of successfully observing the eclipse, even in a sky with broken cloud, is raised a good 20 to 30%. But what if the whole region is clouded in on 21 August 2017? Herein lies one of the truly great advantages of locating in west central Nebraska. If it is known that the region will be under cloud as late as 6 a.m., observers can relocate as far away as Casper, Wyoming, or St. Joseph, Missouri. And conversely, if we have clear skies and these regions are under cloud, persons there can join us. If people do come, where can they stay? North Platte itself has adequate accommodations with over 1,500 hotel rooms, and certainly there are other accommodations within the Sandhills area itself. When it comes to providing accommodations, west central Nebraska surely ranks among the very best regions with good skies and suitable duration within the whole eclipse path. What is there to do in western Nebraska other than watch corn grow? All of us are certainly aware of the great diversity our region offers. Great historical events have been played out in our corner of the United States, and we still are one of the very few places where people can experience the true West. What can we do to assure a successful eclipse experience for our community and our potential guests, barring the weather, of course? Areas to consider are publicity, selling our locale to the rest of America and to the world while inviting Nebraskans not within the path of totality to join us. Public education, provide basic knowledge about what is going to take place on 21 August 2017 to also include how to observe an eclipse, what to expect, how to photograph an eclipse, and fun and simple experiments families and kids can perform. Record temperature change, observe animal behavior, look for planets, interview people before and after the eclipse, etc. Safety education. Make known the dangers of looking at the sun in and out of eclipse, use of projection techniques, proper safety, and responsible use of protective eye equipment, and when to remove that gear to observe totality. Community involvement. Involves service clubs, youth groups, retirement groups, special interest groups. Academia. Create and make available lesson plans for all academic age groups throughout the entire curriculum, such as science, social studies, language arts, visual arts, performing arts, mathematics, etc. Local, county, and state authorities. Keep abreast and involved in activities the police departments, sheriff departments, fire departments, emergency response teams, school administrators, local and state government. Media and social media. Get the word out in press releases to all media outlets. Target groups with various information releases: medical, legal, arts, school administrators, classroom educators, all businesses and professionals, different age groups. Arrange interviews and question and answer sessions. Observation planning. Select and prepare observing sites both at convenient locations within the path of totality and on the central line, with explanation of advantages of each. Supplementary activities. Arrange events of interest to both local observers and visitors to possibly include such things as 5K run, golf tournament, softball tournament, arts fair, concerts, dramatic performances, tours to local and regional attractions such as the Golden Spike Tower and Bailey Yard, Scouts Rest Ranch, the County Historical Museums, California Hill, Carhenge, Chimney Rock, Sand Hills, Dancing Leaf Earth Lodge, etc. Fundraising. Find business and corporate sponsors to support local activities and/or supply eclipse glasses. It has been suggested that supermarkets, fast food establishments, filling stations, and other commercial outlets could provide free eclipse glasses or other souvenir items for purchases of X amount. Alliance building. Work to create cooperative relationships with all professional groups and businesses and encourage volunteers. Eclipse identity. Develop a logo and slogan that will represent our region's efforts in bringing to the public the wonder of a total solar eclipse. And certainly there is much more. This presentation is only a very quick assessment of what central Nebraska has to offer to the eclipse traveler and what must be done to make the eclipse event memorable for all who attend. Certainly there is much more to attract persons seeking not only clear skies, but a taste of the real West. But we need to get busy in planning and making ourselves known. Ultimately, the whole region must work together to create a network capable of exploiting all that our unique corner of the world has to offer. Let's join forces to mutually benefit the whole area and let the world know West Central Nebraska is a first-class tourist destination at any time, but the very best destination for the 2017 eclipse.